Okay, let's move on. There's no conspiracy here, I promise, of trying to silence anybody. I want to hear what everybody has to say, okay? But let's start here. This is from KITV4, Island Television, all right? And this is exactly what's going on. A rare 5-planet alignment will take over the sky this month. All right. Now we're talking. I saw this tonight and I was like, you know what? This is sweet. This is for tomorrow, right? This is going to be something happening. This is brand spanking new news 2 hours ago. And so I was thinking, right? I was trying to think back a long time ago that I heard when I was a very, very young child. A babysitter or something was talking to me about how the world was going to end, right? Something like this, right? And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about, right? Like me being young and, not knowing anything. Many might argue I still might not know anything. But, I knew less then, let's say. And the thing is, right, the world's going to end. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what? Right? Like doomsday. I'm like, what does that mean? And you know what it was? It was something to do with a celestial alignment, something to do with like the planets being in some sort of alignment that, et cetera, so on. And yeah. I mean, I don't know. Even back then, I kind of thought that sounds like BS to me, and I was, just very, very, very young. And well, I'm not sure something has changed. I mean, it's still okay because now this is what I'm saying. Here's some questions regarding this tonight. Let me read just a little bit of this, and then we'll get on to some of these questions, some of these ideas. This is from literally just a couple hours ago, and this is for tomorrow. Don't forget to look up this weekend to see the start of a rare 5-planet alignment grace the night sky. Beginning in the early morning hours of Friday, June 3rd, the 5 planets of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn will align in planetary order. This rare phenomenon has not occurred since December 2004. And this year, the distance between Mercury and Saturn will be smaller, according to Sky and Telescope. That's a website, of course. Stargazers will need to have their binoculars handy, along with a clear view of the eastern horizon to spot Mercury near the start of the month. The Space Magazine said, as June progresses, Mercury will become brighter and easier to see, according to Diana how do you say this? Hannakanen. Diana Hannakanen. Sorry about that. Names befuddle me. Observing editor of the Sky and Telescope. The rest of the planets should be consistently visible to the naked eye, she said. The best time to view the 5 planets in the 30 minutes before sunrise, she said. And the night before you plan to view the alignment, check when the sun will rise in your area. Okay, so there we go. Now back to this idea, okay? Back to the idea of planetary alignments. Now this is rare, again, back to 2004. I looked into that thing and it turned out it was 1983. All right, we'll get into that. I'll talk about that and how there's supposedly something that describes a doomsday scenario when all the planets are aligned just specifically correct, all right? Or let's say incorrect, as the case may be, all right? And in that, let's say, sense of things, it's supposed to cause a cataclysm. It's supposed to do everything short of destroying the Earth. We're talking doomsday, okay? And so some people have said this. Even a PhD wrote a book about this in particular, which we'll talk about a little bit later tonight as well. But so, okay, so all of this kind of brought back those memories. And not only that, this idea of planetary alignments, I started thinking, okay, so do they mean anything? Like, honestly, like clearly and obviously 1983, the world didn't end. The world did not end. So, were they wrong? Was this just some sort of ridiculous BS hypothesis? Is there anything to this at all? Okay, so number one, so let's throw out doomsday for just a sec and talk in general terms of just planetary alignments, okay? Planetary alignments, okay? So do they matter at all? Meaning, do they affect people, okay? Number one, that's my first question. Do galactic planetary alignments, whether it's going to be within the solar system, without the solar system, including like we're talking the galaxies, or even say the alignment in the greater scheme of things, the galaxies in terms of the universe itself, okay? Do you think that alignments galactically or cosmically actually do anything, all right? That's my first question tonight. Okay, the second question is, if so, what is it that they do? Do they actually influence people? Is being born under, like I described when we started, being born under Pisces, Does that mean anything? I was reading this past week something about Mercury retrograde and being a Pisces, and it's a trying time. Hey, it's hard every day. I mean, if we're being real, the struggle is real, right? So, I mean, with the ebb and flow of things. But can we actually take the ebb and flow of life and sort of extrapolate that to a cosmic scenario? Do you think any of that stuff really affects us at all whatsoever? Okay, there we go. Number 3, the next question is, do you think there is some, or can be in any capacity, some sort of a cataclysmic event actually assigned to a galactic alignment, planetary alignment, anything? I don't know, right? I don't know. And that's why I want to talk about this. Like I said, everything that I've talked about all the way through this is just fascinating stuff to me. Things that I don't know a ton about. Sometimes they say a little bit about something, and it's dangerous to know a little bit about something. I think it's good because it makes you ask more questions about the things you don't know. And so that's what I'm doing tonight. That's what we're here talking about. And do you think anybody is actually influenced and affected by any of these galactic alignments? That's what I want to know. Number to call again, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And yeah, there we go. So that's where we begin, right? And like I said, my young child self thought it was BS then, okay? Myself today, I still, if I'm being perfectly honest, I still think it's kind of BS, okay? But like I said, and when we talk about truth and we talk about who's the arbiter of truth, it's certainly not me. And I made this comment that I should have made. Shout out to James Salcedo, a good friend of mine, Salcedo Paranormal Podcast out there. I was on his podcast on Friday the 13th. And I meant to, I said in that show, I meant to say that I did say specifically I don't believe in ghosts, okay? But I meant to add, and I think it's important, and I'm going to add it a few more times, just so we're clear on exactly what I'm saying, is that the universe doesn't care what I believe. It just doesn't. Let's say I don't believe in ghosts, and let's say I don't believe anything happens from planetary alignments, right? Well, that doesn't mean ghosts can't be real and something is happening with these planetary alignments. You know what I mean? So I am not that arbiter of truth, and the universe doesn't care. All right? So it's an important distinction to make. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. I'll handle my reality. You handle yours, okay? That's all. It's super simple. But okay, so it brings me back to that day way back in 1983 as a very young child. I can't even believe I remember this because I was so young. But it did sort of stoke a memory in me of this ill-fated day in 1983 with all of the planets aligned or something like this, and it was supposed to be the end. It was supposed to be the end of days. And when you're a child, you could give a damn. You're like, does that mean, what are we eating for dinner tonight, right? What does that mean, right? Does that mean there's no dinner? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? As a child, you really cannot really comprehend what that even means. So I think that's probably why it stuck in my head. It was so perplexing that somebody would say that. And by the way, it was a babysitter, I think, that told me this. And the babysitter was not being doomsday, because they were like, yeah, well, some professor at college told me this or something or other, right? And they, it wasn't that. It wasn't like, Michael, the end is nigh. Next Tuesday, there will be an end of all things. No, nobody did that to me, all right? No, nobody was traumatizing a child. It wasn't like that.